Now, for those of you who have your own notepads and pens, or you prefer to use what's in front of you, that's totally fine. I do have a limited number of workbooks. There's no content in them. They're literally just empty pages for you to write on. Would anybody like any of these to be able to write and take notes on? And actually, Dan, would you mind helping me with that? Yeah. I've got about 10 or so. Now, while Dan's passing those out, how many of you guys currently have a website? A lot of us. Different question, how many of you guys can say without a shadow of a doubt that your website is actually converting leads, that you're getting business from that website? A lot of business. Yeah, so not as much, right? We live in a day and age when websites are incredibly important. It used to be that you would open up a nice storefront somewhere, or that you would have a nice office somewhere, and that would be kind of the first introduction. And if not, you might have a business card that you hand out at a networking event, or you meet someone and you hand them a business card, and that was the first introduction. But how many of us have heard that somebody's doing business with us because they saw our website first? Right? So look around the room real quick. You saw there were a lot of people who had websites, but 2 hands that went up related to business on the website first. Whether you know it or not, people are looking online. Let me prove it real quick. How many of you, first thing you do, for the most part, more than half of the time, how many of you go to your phone to find a question, or an answer to a question that you have, or a solution to a problem that you have? Right. So this is what people are doing, and this is why this is going to be so important. Today, we're going to talk about a few different things. Here are some learning objectives up on the screen, things that I hope that you walk out with. By no means at all is this a course where you're going to learn every single thing that you need to know in order to have a proper website. But I hope that you walk out of here with at least some of the basic details, fundamentals, to make sure that you can get the goals accomplished for your business using the actual website asset that you have. Any questions before we get started, or is there anything in particular that you guys would like to know that I make sure that I speak on? Yes?
Okay to photograph your slides?
Absolutely, absolutely. By the way, the slides, I tend to find more success with slides that have a lot more limited information, so this is the most cluttered screen you will see this entire time. I'll be using this as a way to kind of demonstrate some points and walk you through some examples ultimately. Any other questions or anything before we get started? No? Perfect. Just some ground rules, if that's okay. First things first, I like to facilitate information as opposed to do a lecture. We've all been in lectures. We've all fallen asleep in those lectures. And so many times we find that it's a little bit more engaging when I'm asking questions. However, the only way that that works is if you guys respond, right? So if I ask questions, I'll pause for a little bit and kind of wait to see if you guys have a response to that. And the reason for that is we can all learn together through discovery, as opposed to just me giving you a bunch of information that you'll forget 15 minutes afterwards. How's that sound? Okay, we're halfway there. That's okay. That was the first test, guys. We didn't do too well, just so you know. Second rule is we're all adults. If you need to go to the bathroom, do whatever, take a phone call, not a problem. You're not disrupting. Please feel free to do that, okay? Questions, concerns? Good? All right, guys. Well, let's get things started. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is strategy. Strategy is the most important thing, honestly, when it comes to marketing and sales in any capacity. How many of us have walked into a sales meeting, we're trying to present some information, and we absolutely bombed because we didn't plan beforehand? I know I certainly have. Nobody has bombed beforehand without preparation. Well, this is a typical problem that will happen, right? And this extends to every single part of the business, including marketing. So today, one of the first things we're going to look at is what it means to build a good website. Now, funny enough, a good website is not necessarily just good design, right? Here's an example of a site with great design. It looks clean, looks good, inviting, something we want to scroll down, right? It's more so something that's lead focused. So here's another good website. The other one didn't have an issue, but there are a couple of different components here on this specific page that cause people to read, digest information, and then take action. And ultimately, that's what we want, is for people to take action. So when you build a website, consider the strategy behind it, not just again from the design, but ultimately for the one thing that you're trying to do. What is the one thing we're trying to do when we have a website up?
Generate business.
Generate business, good. How do we generate that business, right? Because the website is a sales tool, but it's not going to close the sale for us many times unless we have an e-commerce site up. So what else are we getting from the website? Sorry?
Product information.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you said information? Product information, yeah. So we're educating people, right? We're letting them know what it is that we offer. That reduces our workload on the sales side. So good, great information. What else does the website do for us?
Referrals.
Referrals, that's great, right? How many of us in this room have heard that it's a good idea to work with such business or go to a restaurant or do anything for that matter, but looked it up first? Right? A lot of us have. And so the website serves as one of those tools. One of the other things is that the website focuses on creating leads, right? So when you're thinking about the strategy behind your website, you're trying to identify what is going to actually help me create a lead. That is the biggest, most important thing. Why? Why do you guys think that is the biggest, most important thing for our website? Right? Isn't the entire, I mean, you're not putting up a website for it to look pretty. Right? You're putting up a website to generate those leads. The why behind everything is important, and we're asking why here because you don't just ask why for the reason in which we're putting up a website, but you ask why behind every single thing that you post. So when you talk about a paragraph or an image or a video that you post, you should be asking, why am I putting this here? Will it help me generate leads? If the answer is no, then it doesn't belong there. Make sense? Cool? All right. So there's a couple of different details to generating these leads on the website. When you think about strategy, the how behind this is you want to create engaging copy. Copy, by the way, is the actual text on the website. If you guys go to a website and you look at something, would you prefer to read a large paragraph with a lot of information all about the business and the business owner and every single thing that they've done? Or would you prefer to read a little bit of text to tell you why that product is going to improve your life or help you yourself generate more sales? Which one of those two?
Short.
The short one, right? The more concise one. And more specifically, the one that's focused on you and the benefit that they can add to your life. Because here's a big, very important lesson. At the end of the day, almost everything that we do, and this is not a bad thing, but it's just the reality is it's selfish, right? And it's not selfish in a bad way. It's that when we go to this website, we're not looking at the best interests of that company. We don't care whether that company does well. We don't care whether that company succeeds. We don't care if that company's there 4 years from now. We want to know if that company can help us. So when you spend a lot of time talking about you lose the customer, the audience, and more importantly, you lose what from the website?
People lots.
Yeah, we lose people, right?
Pictures are good because they're worth 1,000 words, right?
Yeah. So, the gentleman, in case you guys didn't hear him, he was saying pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? And we'll talk about storytelling in just a little bit, and pictures is a very big part of that. But yeah, we're losing leads, right, if we don't focus on them. So as far as strategy is concerned, focus on what people want to see, not what you want to see. Take yourself out of the situation. Don't think about yourself, think about what the customer would want to see. Now, what are some of those details specifically? Going back to that initial website that we saw, at the very top, there were about 4 words on there. That's called a value proposition. You want to write that down, and that's a term you want to research. When you go home and you learn how to write a value proposition, you want to search on Google, best value proposition examples. There's a bunch of different websites out there that will show you how to write good value propositions. And the point of a value proposition, again, is to focus on the value that your business adds to the person that's browsing. In addition to that, call to action. I know this sounds crazy, I know this sounds very simple, but it's so easy to forget. A call to action is you asking the visitor to do something. So when you go to a website, you know those buttons that you see, right? That say get started now, call 800, whatever the phone number is. You guys seen that stuff, right, on the websites, those buttons? Okay. The reason why those buttons are there is because the purpose of the website is not just to educate, it's to move the customer journey forward. You want customers to be able to do something with the information that they've got. And if you never ask them to do anything, all you'll do is educate them and then they'll leave. So, a value proposition, a call to action. I've mentioned two. Is there anything else that you guys can think of, elements to help us stay lead focused that we can put on our websites to help us convert those leads?
Music.
Music? Okay. Can you give me a scenario in which you would use music?
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. So I'm going to give you a really great way that you can use music and a really bad way, okay? The really great way that you can use music is with photos or video. Many times when you're looking at photos or video, they can seem stale, right? We have our favorite movies. That movie would not be that movie without that glorious soundtrack in the background, right? So that is an excellent way to use music, is to make sure that it's embedded into your photos and videos. But more importantly, you're giving the customer the option as to whether they want to hear it or not. How many of us have been to a website that automatically starts playing something? What's the first button we hit as soon as that thing starts playing?
Mute.
You mute, or the X, even worse, right? So that would be an example of a bad way to use music, right? You're not creating a soundtrack for your website, you're creating a soundtrack for the content on your website. But excellent example, thank you so much for sharing. What other elements can we add onto our website to create excitement, to make sure that people want to move forward and click that button to contact you?
Interesting photos.
Sorry, say that again?
Interesting photos.
Interesting photos. Photos that tell a story, right? If you post, let's say you are a lawn care maintenance company, and you post a picture of a lawn, and that's it. There's no story behind that. It's just a lawn. You might know what the story is behind it. I made this lawn. I sodded it myself. I mow it every other week, right? In the summer, I mow it, feels like 3 times a week. But nobody else knows that, right? So yeah, photos are great. We just want to make sure it has a story. I heard another answer over here.
Short videos.
Smart videos? What do you mean by that?
Short.
Oh, short videos. You know what? I'm really happy you said that. How many of you want to guess what the average attention span is on a website?
10 seconds.
Sorry?
15 seconds.
15 seconds? 5 seconds?
10 seconds.
10 seconds? 6. 6 seconds. So imagine, if your website takes 5 seconds to load, how much time, let's see if we're good at math, how much time do we have left to engage our customer?
1 second.
How many of you can get the information you need in 1 second? Right? And think about this for a second. Have you ever been to a website, you want the information, it's interesting, but it's not loading. And so what do? You wait?
Go on.
No, we don't wait. It's 2019. We've got other things to do, right? Everything goes fast, and if your website doesn't go fast, they're gone, right? Anything else?
Clickable phone numbers.
Clickable phone numbers. Guys, here's the crazy thing. So, how many of you guys know what a URL is? So a URL, you know that HTTPS / www.bananasrus.com, whatever it is, right? That is called a URL, okay? It's a direction. It's kind of like your home address, right? Your home address, 946 West Avenue, so on and so forth, right? That's the address to the specific website. If it has slashes and numbers and all this other stuff, it's not just finding the address, you're giving it the specific page in which you want it to land on, or the video, or whatever it is, right? Did you guys know that there is a URL structure for your phone number? So what's really cool is, as you were saying, you can actually use, and by the way, if you don't remember this, that's fine. Write it down, look it up online, look up how to link my phone number online. It's TEL colon and then your phone number. And that link, if you insert it into a button, when you tap on the phone number, how many people have seen that? When you tap on a phone number, what does it do? Yeah, it dials it. It gives you a little prompt that says you want to call that phone number, right? This is convenience, right? One of the things we're really focused on is making sure that we reduce the amount of work somebody has to do to get a hold of us. What questions do we have so far about being lead focused? All right, great. Now, I had to pull some examples of what a bad website would look like. I hope nobody here is from Casper, Wyoming. I tried to be as crazy as I could be with the location, but here's an example of a bad website. What's wrong with the site?
Too much information.
Too much information, good. Who in the world wants to read that much information? We don't have time for that. First of all, nobody reads a website. They skim a website. Even if you've tried to pare down your copy, they're not going to read all of that stuff. So good, too much information. What else is wrong with this website?
Font's too small.
Phone number's too small. And you see how this is blue down here, but the phone number's not? That means that they're not using that link. By the way, this is not a capture from years ago. I got this 2 nights ago. This is current, right? So the phone number's too small, it's not linked. What else is wrong with this?
That you don't have anything to do with the subject.
Yeah, what does the mountains have to do with plumbing, right? It's nice, it looks nice, but it has absolutely nothing to do with our story, right? Yeah, you know what? It's probably very close to that area. I mean, it is in Wyoming, but certainly has nothing to do with it. What else is wrong with this website?
If I pull it up on my phone, I'm going to have real trouble with it.
Yeah, you are. That's a big deal there, right? How many people know the term for designing a website for mobile? Terminology question. Have you guys ever heard of mobile responsiveness? Okay, just think about that for a moment. When you respond, you do something, right? You're action oriented. So mobile responsiveness basically means this, and it all happens really, really quick. The website, or more so the computer that's delivering the website, asks the device that you're on, and it says, hey, how big is your screen? That device responds back, and it says, hey, I'm a Galaxy S2, and I've got this size screen. And then the website, the computer responds back and says, great, here's the content based on your screen. Now, this website is 100% absolutely not mobile responsive. So what happens when those questions get exchanged is it always delivers this version of the site. How many of us stay on a site with microscopic text? Yeah, there we go. That's right.
A lot of content on websites are just scrollable now.
Yeah, a lot of content on websites is absolutely scrollable. As a matter of fact, some websites are even one page. And while I don't necessarily recommend that, and if I don't talk about that, can you remind me to bring that back up? Because there's a reason why not to do that. But even still, as long as it's delivering it in a mobile fashion, that's important. Question for you, another guess here. How many of us know the percentage of websites that are visited on mobile versus desktop? So how many, what's on a percentage? How much is mobile traffic on the internet? 70%. 70%? 80%? 90%? Yeah, so you guys are conceptually thinking there, right? It is, it's 80%. That means that if your website is not mobile responsive, all of you guys who sat here with your hands down that said you would never stay on a website that's not mobile responsive, what that means is that 8 out of 10 people visiting your website are closing it without even giving it a single chance. So I would encourage you guys, make a note of this, I would encourage you guys to pull up your websites on your mobile phone and ask yourself, not as an owner, not as a manager, not as an operator, not as someone remotely invested in the company, ask yourselves, would I stay on this website? If the answer is no, it's time to ditch it and do a new one. All right, let's move on. This is an example of a good website. What here is good? What are we doing right?
Bold text.
Bold text, yeah, so we can read it, it's big. And by the way, this is desktop. This is a mobile-friendly site, by the way, so I'll give you guys that as well. But yeah, big, bold text. We can see what's important, right? The person designing this website knew that there was only going to be that 6 to 7, 8 seconds of attention from the person who's visiting, and they said, what is it that I really want to communicate? All the other stuff is important, and I hope they read it, but what is the most important thing that they walk away with? And that is what's biggest and bold and in your face. Great. What else?
Call to action.
Yeah, the call to actions. What are the call to actions on here?
Get started or order.
Order supplies, that's right. So get started now, order supplies. They're big, they're easy to click on, they're easy to see, they're recognizable, right? There's another call to action on here somewhere. Anyone see it?
Tabs.
Highlight phone number.
Highlight the phone number, right? You see the phone number way up at the very top right? Notice that that is the absolute largest thing on this website on the navigation bar. That's on purpose. And can anyone guess what's attached to that phone number on the back end?
Shopping cart.
Not the shopping cart, no. What happens when somebody taps on that phone number, more than likely?
Dial.
Yeah, it dials, right? So there's that TEL colon phone number thing, right? You had your hand up as well?
You understand from the tabs on top, it's pinpoint specific for what the customer wants to talk about or what he wants to research.
You're absolutely right. How many of us have been to a website with way too many tabs, to the point where like it goes across one line, comes down to the next line? Have you guys ever seen that before? It's confusing, right? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants. There's a reason why Chipotle exists, because there's basically one option in 4 styles, right? So think about that, right? That's what people want to see. And I keep hearing this comment, so I want to squash this here right now. People keep saying, oh, you know what? That's the millennials, that's the Gen Zs, those are the guys who don't have time for any of this stuff. Those are the guys who won't read the website. I'm dealing with old farts. They're fine, they're from the old generation. Guys, the old farts have modernized. Each and every one of you, who still has a flip phone in here? You have a flip phone, 1. Wow, that's amazing. That's great. But look at all the rest of you guys. So everyone send their non-mobile responsive websites to that guy over there. The rest of you guys, you've modernized. How many of us have been to YouTube at least once? Yeah, I better see some hands, right? How many of us have used some form of social media, even to look at our kids, grandkids, whatever, Facebook, Instagram, any one of that stuff? Is anyone, LinkedIn, any one of those, right? So look at you, you have modernized. Don't make the mistake of thinking that this is just for youngsters. This is not. Everything is moving forward, everything. Make sense? Cool? All right, myth squashed? Great. Anything else on this page that stands out to you guys?
The photo's interesting.
Yeah, the photo's interesting. It's not a mountain, right? It's relevant. That's great. That's great. Anything else, guys? This is small. There's one thing on there.
It's nice and neat and organized.
It is nice and neat and organized. That's right. And I did start this off by saying that a good website is not necessarily great design. However, we're going to talk about why that's a huge issue in 1 second. The other thing that I wanted to point out is right up here at the very top. Social icons. That may not seem very important, but a lot of people use social. And one of the biggest mistakes that we make as business owners is we design standing in our own shoes. Well, I don't use Facebook, so that doesn't matter. Nobody else is going to use Facebook. And that's just simply not true, right? So when you guys design a website, think about social as well. Next topic coming up after this. All right, guys. So we've talked about a lot of the website strategy. Let's move on to engagement real quick. Engagement, that is the purpose of the website that actually leads to a lead, right? When we talk about all of those different things, value propositions, they make people think, right? You're engaging with somebody in that way. You're speaking to them, they're listening. Even if you don't speak to me, regardless of whether I asked you guys to speak back to me, you're listening to what I have to say. And even though that's a one-way conversation, we're engaged, right? So the purpose of the website is to engage. Those call to action buttons, somebody's actually reacting back now, right? They're raising their hand, they're responding, they're talking to you. And they're clicking on the buttons, they're going to the social media websites, they're calling, they're reading through the information. Whatever it is, the point of the website is engagement. Now, question for you guys. How many of us have ever stayed at a hotel before? Just, right? Bunch of us, all of us, hope, you know, at some point, hotel, whatever. regardless of budget, let's put the budget aside for now. If you had the choice, would you stay at a place where you walk in, doors open, there's somebody standing there greeting you, they welcome you to the hotel, you walk in, you see a beautiful fountain, there's people behind the counter, they come up, they greet you, they look up your reservation, they call you by name as soon as they find you. When you get to the room, it's not only just clean, everything seems like it was well thought out, right? Have we ever been to a hotel room where it just seems like stuff is thrown around in the room and somehow something doesn't feel right, right? So think about that from the sake of a website, from a design perspective, right? We talked about design just a little bit. That's what you want to think about when it comes to your website. See, unlike a hotel, where I just described possibly a 5-star hotel that you're going to pay 10 or 15 times more for than you will for the Motel 6 down the street, the website is not, right? Your website, what you design, is the same cost for the person that's visiting, whether it's ugly or it's nice. So if you had a choice, would you rather do business that you don't know anything about, right? Would you rather do business with a company whose website looked like that first company that I showed you? Or would you rather do business with a company like the second one that I showed you? Why?
They take pride in their business.
You're absolutely right. That is one of the biggest things, guys. You've heard of that saying, people judge a book by its cover? We talked about that you meet people now, you used to meet people in the past only first with a business card and networking events. You decorate your office and make it nice. This is now the first impression for many of your customers, or rather, lack thereof. And if it's a lack thereof, then take a look at the design. Try to see if not only have you not focused on strategy and orienting things and where it belongs, but have you made it look appealing? Is it something that people want to be on, right? We've all been on websites that we don't want to be on. I'm assuming based on the people in this room, we've been on government websites. How many people like the government websites? Right? So we don't want to have the government website. So take some time to focus on your visuals. What are some of the things on the website that count as good design, you guys think? Like, what are some of the things we have to keep in mind when creating good design?
Color.
Sorry?
Color.
Yeah, you cheated. Color, good. Right, colors are very important. And we don't want to use a bunch of colors. We want to use colors associated with our brand. How many of us know what branding is? Anybody know what branding is in here? Sir, what is branding?
Branding is your company identity, basically. How you look, how you appear, how your stuff looks.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Our company, our brand, has a look. Whether you guys know it or not, it has a look. Think about yourself as a person. There's probably come a point where you need to go buy new clothes, and even though you know that you have 6 of that same shirt, just in different colors, you like it, and so you're gonna buy more of it, right? Even if you know that those dad jokes are not swinging, right? It doesn't matter, you're gonna continue to tell those dad jokes. Even if you know as a mom that your kids absolutely do not like to eat their vegetables, right? You are going to work with them to do that anyway, because that's who you are. So there's a portion of branding called personification, right? Brand persona specifically. Write that down, take a note of that, and what I want you guys to do is when you look up some of this stuff, look up brand persona examples online. So why do these visuals matter? I forget who over here was talking about the nice design and what it does for a customer when they see the website. But let's talk about that again real quick. Why do those visuals matter?
You want to keep the customer engaged.
Yeah, you want to keep them engaged, but there was something else really, really important beyond that, right? Not just keeping their attention, but we're building something with them. What do you think that is?
Trust.
Trust, right? We're building trust. We're telling them without actually even writing it down, without saying, guys, our strategy is that we're quality oriented, we build the best products, we offer you the best service. Guys, sometimes it's what we do versus what we say. If we have an ugly looking website, that is a representation, not just of the website, but of the entire brand and everything that the brand offers. So consider the fact that what we're doing with good design is building trust. Now, what are some of those visuals? We talked about colors. What else can you think of? Let's just think components of a website. Like, what do you see on there? Yes?
Going back to your branding, something that was staying printed in their mind with what we're reading.
Yeah, okay, so something recognizable, right? Something unique. For instance, this is actually an illustration that our company did, and we use this a lot. And then what we do is we take this illustration, we integrate it into our website, we integrate it into our flyers, we integrate, as a matter of fact, let me see it somewhere here. So for instance, this is one of the flyers that we have, right? You'll notice the colors match, right? You saw a blue slide at the very beginning. We're using that same exact color blue. We have the illustrations here on the side, right? We've got the colors very well spread throughout. And the reason is because we knew going into this, we weren't just making a brochure for tomorrow's convention. We were making a brochure that needed to make an impression, that was unique, and that had different characteristics from everybody else so that we could stand out. So that's great. You took it a little bit further, man, conceptually. That's great. Let's take it to like individual elements. What are some things specifically that we're looking at on the website that's important on the visual side? One of them so simple.
Logos, phone numbers.
Logos, okay, good. The logo should be the same. Have we ever been to a website where we see a logo but it's like squished, or it's turned, or they have a logo we saw on something but it's a different logo on the website? Have you guys ever seen stuff like that before?
Consistency is important.
Yeah, consistency is very important, right? So those are unique identifiers. There's one thing, and it takes up about 90% of the website, more than likely 80% of the website even, that we haven't talked about yet. A lot of people don't think about it. What do you think that is? I'll give you a hint. It's on this, but it's not on there.
Background color?
Background color is a good guess, but no, that's not it. Sorry, what?
Font?
Font. Yes. This is called typography. Typography is a collection of your fonts. I know this sounds crazy, guys. This font that we use, that you saw when it comes up, let's talk about how this works psychologically for a moment. Psychologically, we make associations with the things that we see around us. How many of us have heard a song maybe like 4 or 5 years after it came out, and it brings us back to the first time that we heard it? How many of us? Why do you think that is? Sorry?
Memory association.
Yeah, it's a memory association, absolutely, right? Bigger than that, guys, what we're actually doing is we're storing short-term memories and long-term memories in the back of our minds, but what we're doing is we're connecting them with other elements. Things that won't ever resurface again unless we see whatever it is, or hear, or smell, or taste, whatever it is again. I remember walking into a place, and I remember smelling a carpet that smelled like old popcorn, right? And it was the craziest thing. It brought me back to this dollar theater that I used to go to as a kid with my mom. And I had not thought of that place in years. And yet, it didn't matter because I made that association with the smell. And I was so young, there's no way that I would have really been able to think about the fact that that was connected. But whether we think we're doing it or not, it's happening. So we chose a unique font. You guys probably don't even notice that it's that unique. It's a font called Poppins that we use. It's not very widely used. And the reason that we did that is because even though you can't tell the difference, your brain can. And the second that you see this font again, you don't have to be shown the logo. You don't have to be shown myself. You don't have to be shown a business card. You will know, based on the introduction to this, if you hold this in your hand and you spend enough time with it, you'll know that it's us. How many of us think I could show you the Google.com website, but remove Google and you still know that it's Google.com? Would you guys know that? Right? I don't have to have the logo there. Why? Because Google uses specific fonts, they use specific colors, they structure things in a specific way, and it's unique to them specifically. What questions do we have about branding on our website and why that matters so much? Has anybody here had a success story where they've changed over their website, changed over the design, and have heard great feedback from people about that by any chance? Has anybody done that before?
I put a dog on my website.
Okay.
And it just, pets just seem to just. And
Pets and kids, man.
Yep.
Pets and kids. They definitely go a very, very long way. That is for certain. That is for certain. Now, one of the other things, one of the jobs that we have, right, when building our website is storytelling and flow specifically. So, here's a cool activity for you guys to do when you get home. Go to your website, figure out, time yourself, figure out how long it takes to, one, find your website on Google if you don't type in the name of your brand. There's a good one, right? So find your website on Google. If you don't type in the name of your brand, see what page you're on. Once you find the name of your brand, you get on the website. See how long it takes the website to load. And then, more importantly, see how long it would take you, or even show it to somebody else, see how long it would take them to figure out how to get in contact with you. And write down the amount of steps that it takes to get from start all the way to finish. We want people to look at the website, if they're ready, have how many clicks before they contact you? Guess.
0.
Yeah, very close. 1. Yeah, unfortunately, AI technology, artificial intelligence, it's not fully here yet. It's a little scary because it's coming, but yeah, we want 1 click, right? If we can't achieve it with 1 click, let's say they're buying a specific product from us. If we have an e-commerce store, which by the way, does anybody have an e-commerce store online in this room? Great, we'll throw that aside for now. We want to make sure that people reduce the amount of clicks, the amount of time that you actually focus to your website. So when you are building your website, focusing on design, think about the structure in which it can take somebody to get all the way to the end. We talked about this. What does this look like? What structure are we focused on here? We remove the words on purpose. What is this part of the website called? You guys remember? Sorry? Brand. Not brand, no. I'll give you a hint. It was on that website up at the very top. There was big, large text there. Sorry?
Phone number?
No, not the phone number. Sorry? The buttons are there. They're down here. So they are there. But what is this part? Do you guys remember?
Toolbar.
The toolbar would actually go directly on top. So this is text.
That's the bold text.
That's the bold text. Does anybody remember what the name of that bold text is called? Call to action. That's a very good guess. That's our buttons down here at the bottom. We're asking them to do something down there. What goes above the call to action? Yes, very good. Value proposition. Who remembers what the job of the value proposition is? This isn't fair that I'm quizzing you guys on the spot, right? Who remembers what that is?
What the company does.
Sorry?
What the company does.
This is not, that's a very good guess, and thank you for bringing that up again, because again, I'm going to put you on the spot, if that's okay. Again, we don't want to focus on us, right? This is not what the company does. Nobody cares what the company does, right? So what does a value proposition do?
How can I do like that right now?
Yeah, it offers value to the customers. I'm revisiting this, guys, because it's incredibly important. It is the beginning of the story or your narrative. So going back to flow, as we talked about flow, right? If this part is not interesting or engaging enough, if you focus on 30 years making dreams happen, you know, the best tech in the industry, nobody cares about any of that stuff. What they care about is what value you're adding to their lives. So I'm going to give you an example of a value proposition. This is a real example, by the way. Okay, there's a toothbrush company out there called Quip. Anybody ever heard of that? Yeah. So Quip is this fancy new toothbrush. Actually, Dan turned me on to that in the back. Thank you, Dan. Quip is a cool new toothbrush. They send you heads every few months, so that way you got a fresh head every so often. It buzzes when it's time to like switch from side to side, and buzzes when it's time to like stop brushing. It's actually really cool. It's neat technology. Their value proposition on their website, brush better. That's it, right? Brush better. And then of course they go into detail throughout the website, so you know what that is. But they don't focus on the coolest toothbrush around. We thought about everything. It's just brush better. So let's take a moment really quick, and the rest of this stuff will go pretty quickly, I promise, as we get through this. Let's build a value proposition real quick. I'm going to give you an example for a company, and then if you guys would just take a minute to write down what you think would be a good value proposition for that company. The company, make it easy. The company is a company that makes fire safety equipment, right? Fire safety equipment. They have been in the market for 30 years, and you know, they got stuck in their ways a little bit, but the owner decided, hey, you know what, we're going to shake things up. We're going to reintroduce this product we used to carry a long time ago and make it brand new. It's a piece of technology that allows you to create fire extinguishers a little bit better and more effective for home use, right? Take a minute real quick. Think about a value proposition, a way that you can start the story, start the narrative on the website. Take just a minute to write that down. About 30 more seconds. If you want to help out your neighbor, whoever's sitting next to you, you can. All right. What'd you guys come up with? Save lives. That's a great value proposition, right? Save lives. Yes?
Be safe at home.
Be safe at home. Wonderful. I absolutely love that. That's great. What else?
State-of-the-art fire protection.
State-of-the-art fire protection. Okay, that's good. Let me think about that one for a second. I probably would add a few more words in there. So instead of saying state-of-the-art,
More, but I don't want
oh no, go ahead, share it.
to get out on the ground level and be the first to have one.
Okay, get on the ground level and be the first to have it. So state-of-the-art fire protection and get on the ground level, right? That's good. That's good. I like that. With that, a little additional portion. Great. What else?
Simple life safety solutions.
Simple life safety solutions. Okay, good. Yeah.
Easier protection for your home.
Ooh, I love that. Easier is what's called a power word. Power words stick up here. Simple, easier, incredible, the only, right? Like, these are all power words, so I really like that. What else?
Protection through decisive threat management.
Protection for what now?
Protection through decisive threat management.
Great. If I knew what that was, then I would say that that's awesome. But I think that sounds good. Does everybody else understand that? I hope. Sort of? Okay, great. Fantastic. That is a key lesson, by the way, right? You want to focus on whoever's visiting your website, so if they tend to be not so technically savvy, then you want to make sure not to use technically savvy words. But as long as they know what that means, hey man, all power to you. That's great.
No training needed.
No training needed. That's great, especially if we're looking at an industry that struggles a lot because they have to put their employees through training. It costs a ton of money to be able to get this product out into the field, right? That's fantastic. Anything else you guys want to share before we move on? Good? All right, well, thank you guys for chipping in. I appreciate that. Remember, this is the beginning of your story. Here's another example of this. This is an appliance services company. Quality appliance repair, fast and done right. right? This is an issue. People want their appliances working, they need it done fast, and they need it done correctly. Boom, this company delivers, followed by the call to action. All right, guys, we're going to move a little quicker through this. This is just some basic information to get you guys focused on getting leads. Now, the first part of this is a quick lesson on Google's job. Do not mistake the job of Google. Google's job is not to bring people to your website. It's not. Google's job is very simple, and you'll want to write this down. Google's job is to provide solutions to a problem or to answer a question. That's it. That's the whole purpose of a search engine, in this case Google, is to provide solutions to a problem or to answer questions. So there is a terminology. Have you guys ever heard of SEO? Anybody know what this stands for?
Search engine optimization.
Yeah, we've heard it, but how many people actually know what that means? Right? Do you guys know what that means? Do you guys know what optimizing your website for search actually is? You seem to be very tech savvy. You want to explain it?
Yeah, even putting in all the keywords that need to be in there, hashtag, video, Facebook, just keep loading all your keywords and phrases in there, and optimizing all your videos, optimizing Facebook, optimizing YouTube videos, just keep optimizing everything so that when somebody punches in fire, just the word fire, it drops down, you're the first person in the Google Maps with all the reviews, they click on you, there's your website, bang, there's your phone number, they click on it and they call you. Because when somebody wants us, they're not reading a bunch of stuff, they want to see a pretty picture that says, okay, you can take a fire, put a phone number on it, and then just click on it. Right, when somebody wants us, it's because the fire inspector walked out the door, right? They don't want to read a bunch of crap. All they want is a phone number.
Value proposition. Did your fire inspector walk out the door? Right. That's great. So yeah, that's a very good explanation. Thank you for that. Yeah. Here's the key thing, guys. SEO is a difficult thing because if you've got 100 websites competing for the word fire, which by the way is probably much more than that, right? It's going to be hard to compete with that. Write this down. This is the saving grace. You ready for it? It's called long-tailed keywords. Long-tailed keywords, what you guys want to do when you get home is you want to collect words that you think people are searching for. But instead of searching fire safety, actually let's do something real quick. What is your business, if you don't mind asking? What do you do? Yeah. Sorry?
It's state fire equipment.
So state fire equipment?
It's state. Yeah.
Sorry.
Just fire.
Just fire equipment? Okay. And where are you from?
Lake Placid.
Lake Bison?
Lake Placid.
Lake Placid. Okay. So Lake Placid. So would somebody typically live in your area to order from you or to work with you in some way?
Actually, no, we go to the surrounding areas more.
Okay, so surrounding areas. So would it be safe to say that maybe Lake Placid and surrounding areas is a good idea to put on the website? Right? Because would you want to spend time and effort to attract somebody who lives in Oregon? Would you want them to visit your website?
No,
Why?
too far.
Yeah, they're not going to do business with you, right? So that's how you build long-tail keywords. Instead of just thinking about the word fire, think about all the relevant things that would make somebody want to do business with you, right? Think about the fact that you're in Lake Placid and that you want people in Lake Placid and the surrounding areas, and think about those surrounding areas, and those are the words that you want to have on your page, because here's a cool little thing. Google has these things called bots. They go out into the web every single day and they search billions of websites over and over and over again. And what it does is it pulls words from your website. So when people search, you come up and search based on what you have on the website. Okay, here's a good example. We have a personal training company. People search for customized fitness plans. We found that out. And guess what's on there? Customized fitness plans. People search for nutrition planning. Guess what's on there? Nutrition planning. Here's something interesting. People search a lot for group training classes. And this wasn't something that was super important to the owner to actually have on the website, even though they offered it. So we decided, okay, what if we just put on here, achieve success through a one-on-one, two-on-one, and even group training class. Real small, doesn't matter. Google will find it. All right? So So, next thing, to get people to our website. This is a hard one, because it's not free. And not only is it not free, it's actually expensive. But here's the thing, guys. Ads are an incredible way to get people to your website. There's nothing wrong with traditional marketing, so don't hear me say that. There's nothing wrong with billboards. Heck, there's nothing wrong with coming to a conference and handing out brochures, right? But it's totally different when you can target people. Completely different. When you put up a billboard and people drive by it, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who's seen that billboard, right? Instead, when you focus on ads, specifically through like Google or Facebook or Instagram or any one of these different platforms, wherever it is that your target audiences are, you can put in specific keywords in there, you can put in demographics, you can put in genders, you can put in all kinds of stuff. Here's something crazy. We were doing some marketing for a company selling shoe-based products. I kid you not, and this is creepy, I know, but I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. Has anybody ever seen that sign on with Facebook button? Right, you open up an app and you can create an account, but it's easier to just hit sign in with Facebook. Has anybody seen that before? Whether you've done it or not, have you seen it? Do you know what that is? That is a tracking software that tracks your behaviors outside of Facebook. It's not necessarily a bad thing depending on how you feel about that. What it does is it tracks behaviors and associates it with a number as opposed to you as actual people. And it's very helpful to marketers like myself because we were able to go in and not just pick the gender and not just pick where they lived and not just pick what kind of education they had and what kind of income they had and whether they were had a family with 2 kids or not. We were able to actually select whether they were someone who was more likely to purchase a pair of shoes in the next 2 months. And the reason they know that is based off of searches, is based off of how you use apps and how you use these different things. Ads online are incredibly powerful, and if you haven't looked into them, I highly recommend it. It is not something that is a simple thing to do, so I would recommend reaching out to a marketing agency or even a freelancer who is familiar with this, because then managing that money is going to be very important to make sure that they're targeting correctly. Specific pages, the one-page thing. Here's the problem with the one-page thing. If I'm searching for a very specific piece of equipment and I end up on a page with everything, you will lose me. Because I've clicked on a link and I've ended up on a page with the basic value proposition, and that's great. But that's not what I searched for. I searched for group training classes. That website I just showed you, we're in the process of expanding that outward to several individual service pages so that they all pop up on Google. And if somebody searches for that specific service, instead of landing on the home page, they land on a relevant page. That's massively important. Blogging, I will be very honest with you, it is really time consuming. If you don't have the time to start it yourself, don't do it, because you don't want a blog that's going to be outdated by several months. It just doesn't look good. However, if you can do it, if you can afford to hire a freelancer or somebody part-time to do it, it is well worth your time. I guarantee you, each and every one of you have visited a website that you've done business with, because when you found something, you didn't find a website or a web page, you found a blog post related to whatever it was that you're looking for, right? Downloadables, you can offer downloadable content so you can collect email addresses. It's another great way to collect data so you can do business with them. Speaking of email, email is the #1 dollar for dollar marketing solution when it comes to return on investment. For every 38 cents that you spend on email, you make $1. It's the average, about. That is an incredible return on investment. It's because you own all that data. When somebody follows you on Facebook, you can't guarantee they're going to see your stuff, but if you own their email address, there's a very good chance, even if they don't open it, they're going to see the email. So, how do we get started? A few things real quick, and again, like I said, we're going to go pretty quickly through this. I would recommend, if you are not a web, how many of us are web developers in here? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, there is something called Wysiwyg. Wysiwyg stands for what you see is what you get. Wysiwyg editors are incredibly popular. They're very easy to use. If you like this picture, you drag it, you drop it, you size it, and you leave it alone, right? As a matter of fact, this website I showed you looks pretty good, right? It looks pretty clean, looks simple. Here is that same website on the back end. There's no code. There's nothing that I have to, as a matter of fact, if I want to change that text, I edit it, I pull that little slider up, I make it bold, or I center it, or I change the color. Do whatever it is that I want to do as if I'm working in a Word document. That is the power of a Wysiwyg editor. There's a couple out there. The two that we recommend is either Wix or Squarespace. We do not recommend going with server-based solutions. I believe you were the one who was talking about that. Sometimes companies who serve as servers, like HostGator or GoDaddy, will offer website-based tools. It's just not their forte. It's not the thing that they're really strong at. These guys really focus on creating an incredible experience and making it very easy to make a website. The great thing about these Wysiwyg editors, they've got loads of templates. And you don't have to install them, you don't have to download packages, you don't have to do any of that stuff. They're all usually free. You can pick the one based off of category that you have, select that, and get started. Biggest mistake that most people make is they pick a template and they start editing. Do not start editing. You have no idea what's going to go on the website. You don't know what images you have, what content you have. Pick a template that you like and then draw it out instead. And I know this seems crazy, guys, but we have this saying at our agency, which is slow down to speed up. Sometimes website projects will take over a year to complete because we don't plan them out instead. So take some time to sit here and draw out the actual website. Take some time to go find the images online. Write this down. There's a website that has excellent free photos. Totally free. You don't need to pay for them at all. It's called unsplash.com. And if you have Wix as your service, Wix also offers Unsplash integration, and they also offer free pictures of their own as well. And when we talk about pictures, don't just think pictures. They offer graphics like icons, they offer bars, they offer all kinds of things that you can use to make your website look really, really nice. One word of warning though, do not use this. Anybody have any idea why you should not use this?
Distracting.
Sorry?
Distracting?
Yeah, it's distracting, but there's one other really key important reason. Sorry?
Stolen.
It's stolen. Yes, it's stolen. Guys, Google Images is not free to use. Do not ever go on Google Images and pull images for pamphlets or for websites or anything like that. Here's why. We do this with our pictures as well, by the way. People who really care about making sure that pictures don't get stolen, they put a tracking code behind the photo. And when that photo gets used, they get sent a signal that somebody else is using that photo. They partner with their good little lawyer friends, send you a letter and a bill for a few $1,000s. A fine for using a photo that's not yours can go up to $20,000 per photo. How many of us have $20,000 to spend on a photo? Yeah. Good. So do not use photos that are not yours. This is really bad. It can get you in trouble. Now, when you do get a photo, if you don't have the ability to do this on your own, you can even go to like Fiverr, or you can go to Upwork, which are contracting websites for design. Get them to compress your photos below 400 kilobytes. Anything over 400 kilobytes is going to reduce the speed of your website dramatically. Make it very, very slow. By the way, 400 kilobytes is large still. We usually try to do photos that are less than 100 kilobytes.